In the pouring rain, an injured woman carrying a newborn searches for shelter. It appears that some men are following her. She manages to find a hiding spot and sings for her baby. Door opens, and another woman asks who is at the door. The lady with the baby tells her she can't go home, she needs some help. She asks the woman to hold and take care of her baby as she goes to grab some medicine for her child. This baby, who's cold, is wearing a strange walnut amulet. As the woman looks up, the lady disappears like magic. Years later, a boy and a girl are standing by a food stall. The girl calls him Lu Shu, and he's wearing the same amulet the baby was wearing. The girl insists on seeing a fire show. As Lu Shu sees the fire, he suddenly has a vision and sees a sword. His amulet lights up too. As the acrobat continues to play with fire and impress the crowd with his moves, the boy wonders if it's acrobatics, magic, or superpowers. After the show is over, the little girl insists on going backstage and maybe even learning some tricks from these folks. Lu Shu, who is still wondering what happened, agrees to go backstage in the hope of finding answers. They witness a bunch of people shoot the acrobat. Though the two of them were hiding, they were spotted. Reassuring the others, they didn't see anything. Lu Shu and the girl walk away from the scene. Lu Shu wonders if the men in black suits kill people with superpowers just like they shot that guy. They reach home, and the girl tricks Lu Shu into getting her instant noodles. On his way to the store, Lu Shu remembers how he was bullied in the orphanage, and Lu Xiaoyu, this little girl, was the only one who had his back. While crossing the street, Lu Shu is suddenly hit by a bus. His body levitates in the air, and the amulet glows. He can almost hear his mother sing to him. His head bleeds as he's lying there on the road. Something in the sky activates the amulet, and Lu Shu's body lifts. A knot in the amulet cracks open, and a bright light shines through. Whatever this power is, it rejuvenates Lu Shu's body as if he's been given a new life and might as well have some superpowers. His heart starts beating again, and he wakes up. Lu Shu wonders why he isn't hurting after such a major accident. Lu Shu gets up, buys the noodles, and rushes home. Lu Shu is surprised to see there are no wounds on his body, but there's something strange on his hands. He contemplates what it is, and a strange panel opens up in front of him. It says the name of a bunch of people and some strange figures. Lu Shu thinks he scared all the people, and their negative emotions must be his income. He's now certain that he has superpowers, and now he's the Demon King. Could have picked something else too, but Demon King is fine, right? Lu Shu touches a few times on the panel to calculate his income and is given an apple instead. When he tries to bite the apple, it glows and his body absorbs all the power. He spins the wheel a couple of times and wins a script that says, "Twinkle, twinkle, little star." Lu Shu finds himself inside the galaxy. As Lu Shu and Luxiao have dinner, the boy hears something crashing down. They tune into the news and the headlines report an explosion. The boy decides to check his apartment's roof and spots the men in black suits. One of these men was the same guy who killed the acrobat backstage. Lu Shu decides to head back inside but is caught. Lu Shu tells them that he lives there and that he came to the roof to grab the radishes he left to dry off. Suddenly, a man falls into Lu Shu's yard. He wonders if this man caused the explosion. Lu Shu quickly figures out that the man is pretending to be unconscious and wants to be carried inside their house as he makes live comments. He continues to win points by making Luxiao and the man angry. The man pretends to gain consciousness and asks for help. He grabs Lu Shu's arm and uses his superpowers to cause a fire, but Lu Shu keeps dimming it with his powers. Lu Shu was surprised to find out that he can shop from the panel too. He buys celestial fruit and eats it. He decides to head out to gather more negative emotions. Luxiao hands him over a bucket full of eggs to sell at school. Someone gets in a fight with the teacher. It's one of the school kids, Li Queen, who has been awakened and wants to throw the teacher off the roof. Lu Chu steps in and provokes the kid's rage by telling him that he's committing an intentional assault. The police use this as an opportunity to intervene. They capture the kid and save the professor. The authorities at the school want to draw some blood from every student to run a test. They've been sent by a team of men in black suits. As Lu Chu returns home, he finds Luxieu is unwell. He buys her celestial fruit, which immediately cures her. The city decides to set up a Dao Yuan class to identify the students who have been awakened. She faces the teacher in charge. The class teacher calls out the names of a couple of students including Lu Shun. Everyone, including the teacher, is surprised, and so Lu Kan, the Demon King, ends up earning more points from the negative emotions. Meanwhile, somewhere on the border of the country, two men with superpowers are having an argument which will possibly lead to a fight. And so it begins, the man in the robe against the villagers. A new student named Li Jianyi joins the Dao Yun class. Lu Kan doesn't want to miss any opportunity to earn points by invoking negative emotions, and so he teases the new student. Lesson 1 in the Dao Yen class is cultivation. The instructor tells all students, even if they have a lower grade level, they can still accomplish great things. Later at night, Lu Chu uses his powers to order something different. After several attempts, he wins a script that awakens Lujia's powers as well. Lu Chu breaks the first nebula and earns a sword which he gets to keep. In the next Daoyun class, the instructor introduces the students to a technique called instrument contact. This technique is meant for performance increase. Every student receives a spirit stone to practice and awaken their power system. They must report their progress to Jifei. Li Jiang tells Lu Shu that Jifei belongs to a class called Earth Network. Later that night, Lu Shu senses some movement on his apartment's roof. He sneaks from the window and finds a bunch of people there, including the man in the robe. They've come from Aunt Li's husband. The man in the robe identifies as Nei Tong, and he's from the Heavenly Network. He's here to see Mr. Li, Lu Shu's neighbor. Nei Tong tells that the world is at war, and he's here to ask Mr. Li to join him as the last member of the Heavenly Network. Since Mr. Li is unwell, Nei Tong brings him medicine from the ruins. He proposes that if he joins the network, Mr. Li will keep getting his medicine from unexplored ruins throughout the country. Mr. Li declines the offer politely. Since the Heavenly Network and Mr. Li seem to be connected, Lu Shu decides to accept the offer and learn swordsmanship from his old neighbor. But how could he miss the chance to piss other people off? Instead of getting the sword lessons, he asks Mr. Li to help Lujiao Yu with her studies while he's away from the house, a perfect plan to piss them off and earn points. A pretty clever move. Lu Chu starts his training with Mr. Li, who has a different approach from the Daoyun class. Mr. Li is aware of Lu Shu's awakening. He gives him some weights to wear. The lesson that Mr. Li is about to teach Lu Shu will give him the power to cut anything in the world. Mr. Li asks Lu Shu if he would like to take more responsibility as he gains strength. Lu Chu responds by saying he doesn't have any big plans for now, and he just wants to live his life and take care of his sister. The next day, Mr. Li is visited by a former student who's also a member of the Heavenly Network. He says that the ruins are reappearing. Though they are an integral part of the country, he hopes the Foundation won't come in the way at the opening. He mentions the opening in the network once again. Master Li tells him to shush away. Master Li hands over some sodium-potassium alloy and asks him to test out what level he's at. Lu Chu has progressed from level F to level A, which is pretty astonishing. But the test tube starts shining, and it appears Lu Chu is beyond level A. He breaks through the second layer of nebula, whereas Lu Xiaoyu finally breaks her first layer. She now has the ability to control the dead, but she can only control one thing at a time. If she tries to use the black hole's power on something else, the first one disappears. Lu Chu senses something bad happening out on the streets. Lu Xiaoyu senses it, too. The two head out to find what's up. It's Ji Fei versus some other guys who are at level D. With just snapping his fingers, he's able to ignite the fire and cause an explosion, but nothing really hurts these tough men. Police arrive, and the Heavenly Network reports the incident to them. It seems that the tough guy isn't ready to give up just yet. Lu Chu is watching everything from the roof. One of the men from the Heavenly Network manages to hit the guy with a spade. All of them spot Lu Chu standing at the top of the gate. Jive orders to catch Lu Chu while he takes care of the tough guy. Lu Chu uses his sword lessons to hop around and dodge every single trick used by the two women like a pro. Meanwhile, the tough guy is able to handle every other blow, including G-phase fire. All members of the Heavenly Network are down, and it's Lu Chu versus a level D guy. He supercharges his power and gives a strong fist bump to the guy, which has felt like a jolt. He then uses his sword to take him down. Unfortunately, none of the Heavenly Network members were conscious to see him win. Members of the Earth Network recognize Lu Chu's power, but they haven't been able to find him yet. Meanwhile, Lucia manages to use her powers to summon the level D guy. She's also able to control his powers with her mind. The mass awakening is known as the revival of the spirit. The DeLuan classes introduced the new director Li Yizhou. His code name is Level B. He tells all the students that they'll be future members of the Heavenly Network. He also asks the student to report a man with level C abilities guarded by spiritual energy wherever they spot him. The Heavenly Network takes students somewhere unknown. Lu Chu's friend thinks they might be taken to the ruins. Jifei tells the students this whole mission is confidential, and if any information is leaked, they'll have to bear severe consequences. The Jiang introduces Lu Chu to the ruins. All of a sudden, something strange happens, and the maze starts causing destruction. Lu Chu falls into the black hole and lands on a rocky island. All of a sudden, a zombie-like creature throws an axe towards Lu Chu, but he's quickly able to defeat the creature. More zombies come out of the ground, but Lu Chu was able to take them down one by one. Since it's getting dark, Lu Chu decides to spend the night on top of a mountain. The next morning, he continues his journey to find a way out of this hell. He finds dead bodies of people lying around. A man spots something red and magic stuck in a tree. Turns out, one of the students of the Luan class was creating a beam with a gun or skyrocket in his hand. The scene quickly shifts and we see a strange man in the dark parsing a bunch of students for their extraordinary abilities. He gives them skyrockets and asks them to launch fire if they are separated or get lost somewhere far away in the ruins. The kid Lu Chu encounters is from another city. Lu Chu takes the opportunity to spark his negative emotions and win points. Then follows the kid, but on their way, they're attacked by zombies. It's pretty apparent that the boy and Lu Chu are not fond of each other, and so the two get into a fight, and Lu Chu ends up killing the boy. As Lu Chu continues to travel, he sits by the river, quenches his thirst, and tries to figure out the map of the ruins. He concludes that he's been running around in a circle. He creates a plan to move forward and figure a way out. He continues his journey but ends up coming across a zombie riding a horse. This zombie attacks him with a spear. It's not just Lu Chu against one zombie but an army of zombies, and so the action begins. Lu Chu takes them down head-on, but before we even know it, he manages to kill them all. Different group of students is attacked by an army of zombies. They're unable to take them down, their Lu Chu comes to their rescue. He alone manages to kill them all. He gathers all the swords and weapons from the dead zombies. Clever Lu Chu trades his weapons in exchange for the jewelry the other students possess. All of a sudden, strong winds start blowing at night, and ghosts appear. All students unite to fight against the ghosts. The knife inside Lu Chu tries to come out to attract the ghost, but he tries to control it because he doesn't want the other students to figure out his level. The ghosts come near Lu Chu, but they end up getting scared as they see the burning face of the devil, and they flee from the scene. I guess his nickname has come full circle. The scene shifts, and the members of the Heavenly Network as well as students are seen surrounded by a pit. Some of the students mention Xiao Qingsai, the lady who slew the leader of the zombies like a boss. The Heavenly Network invites Lu Xiu and Xiao Xingxi for a meeting. They are introduced to Zhong Yutang, who is from Class C, and together they come up with a plan to get out of the ruins. While everyone's asleep at night, a bunch of students are actually invaders and wearing Heavenly Network's uniforms jump down into the pit. Lu Xiu, being our protagonist, spots them, catches one of the members and asks him to make a deal with him since he knows about their plan to steal the Formation Eye. The boy agrees and asks Lu Xiu to bring more of his friends. Just when he's about to jump, Lu Xiu catches him, and they start a fight. Quickly, Lu Xiu starts yelling, and this catches everyone's attention. The new director and temporary leader prepare all students to battle. When the students enter the pit, they see a dead body hanging. They also see some people sitting in a circle. Turns out, they're all dead. As they move forward, they find a gate releasing bright light. Beyond the gate, they spot a temple. As the students move towards the house, the gate behind them closes. All of a sudden, an army of ghosts appears. Lu Xiu is able to figure out that the kids sitting in the circle were summoning an evil ceremony and converting themselves into ghosts. He uses his powers and lifts his hand to summon energy which kills all the ghosts. Ghosts are dead, but not the zombies. They appear out of nowhere, but the students and leaders are ready to take them down. Lu Xiu finds the opportunity to enter the house. Lu Xiu has nothing but money on his mind. He wonders if he can find something precious in the house to sell and make money. He spots some statues and considers grabbing them, thinking they must be more expensive than weapons. Turns out, and one of the students' eyes blink red. Suddenly, we see more red eyes, and these students start moving towards him. Lu Xiu's knife starts shining and comes out of his chest. Statues get scared and take a step back. Lu Xiu steals their weapons too. Lu Xiu comes across a riddle and tries to figure it out. The leader of the zombies decides to run back into the temple. Li follows him. The leader orders the zombies to take care of Li while he goes inside to check what Lu Xiu was up to. Somehow, he was able to sense it. Just when Lu Xiu grabs the box beside the riddle, the zombie leader appears, and this box falls, but Lu Xiu manages to catch it. Unleashes a power that is absorbed by Lu Xiu's body. The leader yells, "How dare you take the mountain and river seal?" Everything begins to fall apart. Even the zombies disappear. Behold, Lu Xiu has found the Formation Eye, and the world goes back to normal. Luxury reunites with his friends and later on his sister. Upon returning home, Lu Xiu takes out the dragon figurine and submerges in it. He realizes this figurine will help him keep an eye on everything around the world. Atong tells his fellow that if someone uses the Formation Eye, this will release an unusual aura, which will be reported to him immediately, and they will be able to know where the eye was used. And that's the end of the video. As always, if you liked what you saw, subscribe to the channel. I'll be uploading a lot of videos just like this, so I'll see you at the next one.